What's up everybody, Brian Tong here, and this is my review for the new 3rd generation iPhone SE. I got it right here, and the SE, this is obviously a mainstay for Apple's lineup, and there were some people who, they like to act like they're above this phone, but hey, that's not what we do here. Now, they're missing out on an entry-level iPhone that's really getting internal upgrades that puts its performance on par with the iPhone 13. So first, hey, thanks to Apple for providing me with this iPhone SE review that will go right back to them, of course. And the iPhone SE, this is exactly the phone we know it to be. It still has the same iPhone 8-esque body from the 2020 iPhone SE model with its rounded edges. It's a 4.7 LCD display. It still has multi-touch. It's still a true tone display, and it supports the wider P3 color gamut with 625 nits max brightness. It still brings the Touch ID home button. I mean, you know and love this if you're into this, and this new SE will feel like home to people who own the iPhone 6 and 7 and 8 and are looking to upgrade. Now, every time I go back to using the SE for a review, it reminds me how comfortable it still feels in hand. And, I'm used to a larger screen, but this SE, man, this is really the perfect size for me. If you want a bigger display and you always upgrade every year and you always go for the top tier and price doesn't matter, well then this isn't the phone for you. So what is it? Well, Apple's new iPhone SE now has the processing power and the brains of the iPhone 13 and the 13 Pro really in this form factor that is still loved by so many people and really the most affordable iPhone today. So let's get into it. And to me, it is all about the A15 Bionic chip that has completely transformed this device. Now on the surface, right, side by side, if I'm comparing this to the 2020 edition of the iPhone SE, you can't really tell the difference from navigating through the OS. It felt no different to me whatsoever. I mean, can you even tell when you're looking at this? I can't. It has the same refresh rate. It feels exactly the same, but really under the hood, it has the A15 Bionic. So just to see how fast it is, I ran the Geekbench 5 benchmarks on this new iPhone SE. It's running iOS 15.4, and then my current iPhone 13 Pro at the moment has running iOS 15.3, and the results really speak for themselves. For single core performance for the iPhone SE, it just edged out the 13 Pro with a score of 1,745 to 1,734. And for multi-core performance, the 13 Pro edged out the SE 4,752 to 4,711. You can run these tests multiple times and there will be slight variations in the results, but ultimately, the iPhone SE CPU performs at the same level as the iPhone 13 Pro thanks to the A15 Bionic. So again, they put in an iPhone SE, they put an A15 in and it basically performs the same. That is just crazy. So the biggest thing that stood out to me though, really after a few days of normal use and getting comfortable with this is easily the best battery we've seen on the iPhone SE. Apple touts that it has 2 more hours of video playback versus the 2020 iPhone SE. Well, for me, I was able to get anywhere from 11 to 13 hours of regular use with this iPhone SE. So that is handling messages, notifications, taking some photos or videos, and even watching videos. And of course, every day is going to be different. We all use our phones differently, but for me, starting at typically around 8 a.m. and then getting past 9 p.m. in some cases on an SE, that's just unheard of. Now, the efficiency of the new A15 Bionic, there's better integration with iOS, and you also have battery enhancements. They are all a part of this, but it still really just surprised me right out of the gates on the SE. The battery life here is excellent. I'm not the biggest gamer on my iPhone other than a little Clash Royale with my nephews, but this is not a neutered A15 Bionic in any way. They put the same exact thing in here. Games are gonna play and look great on this phone. Now, when it comes to GPU performance, we look here, the SE has a 4-core GPU and was bumped up to 4 gigs of RAM. Well, the 13 Pro has an extra GPU core that bumps up to 5 cores as well as 6 gigs of RAM. And clearly, the 13 Pro here, it has a big edge with GPU performance, but based on benchmarks, the graphics performance for the SE is closer to the results that I get from the iPhone 13. Again, the A15 makes this just as viable of a gaming device as the 13. Now, we all know our cameras are our phones are our cameras, so how much has now changed or improved with the new 15 Bionic inside here with this 3rd gen SE compared to, let's say, the 2nd generation SE? Well, I have comparisons that are going to be coming straight out of the camera. There's no editing because this is how most people use their phones when they take pictures. And I love me some food. So let's just start with this picture from my favorite place. It's called Just Poke. And it's going to be very difficult to spot any major differences between the SE 2nd gen here and the new SE 3rd gen here. The green furikake on the rice, there is a little more definition. But other than that, they almost look the same. Now, if we go to the comparison of this photo and we throw in the 13 Pro, you might get a little more dynamic range on the 13 Pro, just a little, but honestly, it's really hard to pick out any differences here. Now let's look at this next one. This is of a glass mural. I think this is a better comparison. You're getting more details on the new iPhone SE, and you can see how the colors feel slightly washed out on the left side with the 2020 SE. You really see it, especially in the reds. And then if we look at this 3-shot comparison here, the iPhone 13 not only brings more vibrant colors overall, but you're gonna be able to pick out a few more details in those areas on the wall as well. Now, here's also a shot of me looking really cool. And what you can look for is that there's more color in my skin tones on the right side with the 2022 SE compared to the 2020 model. I know it's subtle, but just keep looking, you'll be able to see it. Even something as small as that purple flower in the background on the left, it pops with a little more color on the iPhone SE 2022 edition. Now, in this 3-shot, you can see how the 2022 SE and the 13 Pro, they look pretty close to each other here when it comes to the color tones on my skin as well. Next up, this close-up flower shot, it really reinforces what we've seen in a few other pictures. The new iPhone SE does a better job with color representation here and dynamic range. You can clearly see that from the left side to the right side. And then here's the 3-shot where you can at least tell that there is a difference again from the 2020 SE that just looks more washed out compared to the other two phones. Now let's do a rear camera portrait mode shot here, and the 2022 SE does a lot better with more even lighting while still preserving the details compared to the 2020 SE, which there's a lot more buried in the shadows and you're losing detail. You can really see this under the bill of the hat where it's not only brighter, but we can see the details of Shauna's skin better. Now hair separation also looks pretty good for both cameras. And then here's the 3-shot. And this is where you really see the improvement in the processing here from the A15 Bionic and how the new SE and the iPhone 13 Pro handled this photo. Now let's try this next one out. This is a front-facing portrait mode shot. Here, the 2022 SE kind of washes my face out a little too much for my liking. You look over at the 2020 SE and it's still shadier and darker and you don't get much detail similar to the rear camera portrait that we showed you before. But then the separation of the background of my hair is handled a lot better with the new SE. Now we're gonna go to the 3-shot, and here you can tell the iPhone 13 Pro just really handled this shot the best with more even lighting while preserving the details in the skin and the best hair separation of my hair of the group. And you will at times get varying results. Look, it happens, but overall, I think that you can tell that this new iPhone SE's camera, it gets pretty close to what the iPhone 13 Pro can do. And again, it is crazy to think that Apple, as it stands now, they put their best processor in here. You get all of its benefits into this entry-level iPhone. If you care about the iPhone SE colors, it comes in Starlight and Midnight, and this product red here is a deeper tone. It's darker than the 2020 SE, and it actually matches the product red tone of the iPhone 13. It's using the most durable glass, so that matches what is in the iPhone 13 Pro. It's the most durable glass on any iPhone, that's what Apple is saying. And it still has an IP67 rating for splash, water, and dust resistance, so it can be underwater at a depth of 1 meter for 30 minutes. Now the iPhone SE also brings 5G, but everywhere I went, I still didn't get a 5G signal, so results are gonna vary depending on where you live. But this iPhone SE is really made to last with 5G for the next generation of connectivity, and knowing you're also gonna be getting the latest software updates for at least the next 3 to 4 years that are compatible with the A15 Bionic. Now, Apple just made the iPhone SE honestly pretty ridiculous under the hood with performance that is at the same level. Even, you feel it kind of like just seeing all the results I gave you as the iPhone 13 and the 13 Pro. It has a battery life that surpassed my expectations, and it's gonna get you through most of the day without charging it, and that went well beyond 6 p.m. for me. And also, its 12 megapixel wide camera is arguably like just right there with the iPhone 13 Pro's 12 megapixel wide camera as well. The new iPhone starts at $429 for the 64 gig model, and that's a $30 increase from the previous iPhone SE's base model price that used to be $399, but they threw in a 5G antenna, so you can pretty much credit that price increase to that. You're also gonna have a 128 and 256 gig options for storage, and it is available to order now. The iPhone SE, this is here to stay, and Apple is now just giving it a whole new heart. And honestly, I'm not an SE user. I use the 13 Pro, but anyone who loves this form factor and loves Touch ID, you're gonna love this upgrade. And it's also a great entry point for someone on a budget who wants to be part of this Apple ecosystem. Now, I said it before, This iPhone SE has always been exactly what we know it is, but now it's been transformed with an experience that really matches the top of the line iPhones inside it with the A15 Bionic. And I've got no bones about this one. This is a good Apple.